What's going on, everybody? Welcome into episode 178 of the MudWatch Sports Podcast on this Tuesday, August 18, 2026. I'm your host, Zach Malum. But before we get started, please subscribe below. Follow all of my social accounts. Let's start things off in the world of baseball, as both of your teams were in action this weekend. And we start things up in the Bronx with the New York Yankees, coming off of a 9-game homestand against the Cardinals, the Braves, and the Mariners. The Yankees head up to Toronto for a 3-game set against the Toronto Blue Jays. Blue Jays have not been good this year, and they end up coming into the game 5 games under 500. Yankees are 14 games over 500, even with all the offensive struggles. The Yankees took 2 out of 3 against the Seattle Mariners the last week, and then they go up to Toronto to take on the Blue Jays, and it's Shane Bieber on the mound for Toronto. Garrett Cole taking the ball for the Yankees. And Garrett Cole was really good in this game. He just ended up giving up a couple of runs that hurt the Yankees in the end, only one of them being earned. 6 innings, 5 hits allowed, just the 1 earned run, 2 walks, 5 Ks. But obviously, one of those runs was unearned, and the Yankees lose it 3-1 the final. The 6th inning was where it got into trouble. Trent Grisham hits a solo bomb for the Yankees off of Shane Bieber, gives the Yankees a 1-0 lead. But then the play with Luis Garcia at first base, that hurts the Yankees in the end with a bad throw. Vladdy comes in to score. And then, of course, Kirk hits an RBI double right after that to score Springer to make it 2-1 Blue Jays. So the 6th inning is where Garrett Cole got into a little bit of trouble, but a good start in the end once again for Garrett Cole. 6-6 on the year now, but I mean, with how he's been pitching, it's really a positive sign to see. The ERA at 3.22. This is a guy coming off of Tommy John surgery just a couple of months ago. So, I mean, give the Yankees credit and give Garrett Cole credit for how he's come back into shape. But the Yankees give up another bomb to Alejandro Kirk in the 8th inning, and that's 3-1. That's the final. The Yankees lose the first of 3 to the Toronto Blue Jays. Then you go into Saturday's game, and the Yankees looking to get things going on offense after just 1 run the day before and no runs the day before that. They do get things going early with George Lombard Jr. hitting an RBI single into left field, gives the Yankees a 1-0 lead, but the offense was asleep after that. Only 4 hits on the day, and a really good job by the Blue Jays bullpen, of really getting the job done. I mean, it was a bullpen game for them. They had plenty of pitchers to go around, 7 of them to be exact, that pitched in this game. The Yankees on the other side had Cam Schlittler go on the mound. Not his best stuff, but a solid outing in the end. 5 1/3, 4 hits allowed, just 1 earned run with 3 walks and 7 Ks. Yankees got into trouble with Brent Hedrick on the mound. He had 3 hits allowed, and obviously 1 earned run in the end came on the McAdoo RBI double in the 7th to give the Blue Jays a 2-1 lead. McAdoo added on in the 8th inning with an RBI single with the bases loaded. The Blue Jays get another run. 4-1 it finishes, and a Yankee team that was looking coming into this series to dominate the Blue Jays, they lose the first 2 against Toronto, who's been, again, struggling mightily so far this season. But the Yankees end up bouncing back on Sunday. You got to give them credit. They got a tough and gritty win. Toronto's not being kind to them over the last year or so, and the Yankees end up winning the final game of the 3-game set, and they end up losing the series 2-1. But Jose Caballero had the big hit in the 7th inning, hits an RBI single that scores Lombard. Tried to get another run in to give the Yankees some insurance, but then it goes to the 9th inning, and Ben Rice makes a monster error in the game. Just cannot get the ball at first base, an easy ground ball off of the bat of Okamoto, and the Yankees end up paying for it. Ernie Clement hits a sac fly to score the run to make it 2-2 in the bottom of the 9th. Then you go to the 10th, though, and what a way to turn it around for Ben Rice, who has the error in the previous half inning, goes up to the plate, and hits a 2-run bomb in extra innings where the Yankees are flat out terrible so far this year. Hits a 2-run bomb, gives the Yankees a 4-2 lead. The Blue Jays would get a run in the 10th, but David Bednar able to lock it down. and he ends up getting the win. It was actually Tim Hill who ends up getting the save in the end for the Yankees. But David Bednar did lock things down for the most part, got 5 outs, but of course Ben Rice allowed that run to come in unearned on David Bednar's record. Bednar gets the win, 6-3 on the year. Tim Hill gets the save, his second of the season. So the Yankees offense is a problem. No doubt about it. They have to find ways to get runs across, and without their 3 best players on offense, in my opinion, Giancarlo Stanton, Cody Bellinger, Aaron Judge, I mean, that's literally taking the heart and soul out of this offense and saying, all right, go to work without those guys. It's not easy, and the Yankees have found that over the last month or so, and even since Judge went out at the end of May, they've been terrible offensively, ranking near the bottom of all of baseball in really every statistical offensive category. And just as the Yankees get some good news, they get some bad news, as the lefty Max Fried heads to the IL, the 15-day IL, retroactive to Friday with a left elbow bone bruise, something that he's dealt with earlier in the season, and that's not a great sign for this Yankees team. Their ace on the mound, who's been pretty great since he's come back from the first stint on the injured list, to have him now on the shelf once again. They get back Carlos Rodon in the rotation, but you're losing a dynamite pitcher in the rotation in Max Fried, who was pretty good. Again, in the last couple of days, he allowed 5 hits in 5 innings against Seattle the other day, and the Yankees have been relying on Fried to come back and almost hold on the load, even while he's maybe not 100% healthy, just because this offense has been so bad. And of course, it's just Garrett Cole, Max Fried, and Cam Schlittler in the rotation. No Rodon for a couple of months, and now Rodon will come back and start on Tuesday. But it really is just an up and down year for this Yankees team. They get some injured players and they get them back, and then some more guys get injured. That's part of a 162-game season. It's just unlucky, though, for this Yankees team, as their rotation, again, has been so dominant all throughout this season, and now they get a big blow with Max Fried going on the 15-day IL. Still no word of when he will then be back. Of course, the Yankees are looking towards October, and that's really all that matters for the Yankees, but they also have to fight for a division title that looks just miles away at this moment in time. You don't have Max Fried, you don't have Aaron Judge, you don't have Giancarlo Stanton. Cody Bellinger's coming back, Carlos Rodon is starting tonight. But, I mean, the Yankees are running out of guys right now to rely on to get them over the line and compete with a team like Tampa Bay that has been red hot recently. Of course, they lost the last 3 against the Baltimore Orioles before winning Monday's finale down in Tampa. But before that, they were on a 9-game win streak and just completely taking over the American League East this season. The Yankees need to find a way to almost try and come back, but I give the Yankees a little bit of slack here because of the injuries just mounting up on this roster. They have to find a way to just look good towards the end of the season and hopefully get these guys back healthy towards the month of October. If they cannot do that, the Yankees are in a lot of trouble heading into October baseball. But we'll see what happens as the Yankees end up heading into another series. And I mentioned Carlos Rodon. He gets the ball tonight. His first start in a long time, as Carlos Rodon, 4-2 on the year, 3.30 ERA, goes up against the Orioles and Shane Baz, who's 4-12, 4.00 ERA this season. The Yankees trying to get to this Orioles rotation down at Camden Yards, and they begin a 3-game set, 6:35 tonight. Make sure you tune in all series long as the Yankees take on the Orioles Tuesday to Thursday. It's kind of a home game for Yankee fans. They always head down to Camden Yards, and you'll hear a lot of Yankee fans tonight. We'll see what happens. Carlos Rodon's return to the mound against Shane Baz, 6:35 down at Camden Yards. But let's shift things to the other side of New York, as the New York Mets were also in action this weekend. They were coming off of a long road trip, 9 games on the road against the Guardians, the Pirates, and then the Atlanta Braves. Then they came back home to take on the Washington Nationals, a 3-game set down at Citi Field, and the Mets end up sweeping the Nationals 3 games to none. It started on Friday where the Mets just continue to roll. And give the Mets credit, it's a tough and gritty win. Francisco Lindor ends up hitting a solo bomb as the Mets trailed 1-0 after Brady House hit an RBI single. Lindor hits a solo bomb. Benge follows it up with an RBI single. It's 2-1 Mets. How about Jared Young, one of the underrated players for the Mets so far this season? He hits a solo bomb himself to give the Mets a 3-1 lead, and then Bo Bichette adds on top of it with an RBI single to make it 4-1 Mets. The Mets bullpen is something to watch right now, as Robert Stock was really good in this game. Give him credit. 4 1/3, 3 hits allowed. No earned runs, but the 1 run allowed. 3 walks, 5 Ks. I mean, a solid outing for Robert Stock after a abysmal outing against the Pittsburgh Pirates last week. Then they had Nate Lavender along with Jonathan Pintaro, Daniel Duarte, and Kodai Senga. The 4 relievers to lock things down. No runs allowed between the 4 of them, and just 2 hits allowed between the 4 of them. Really good stuff by this Mets bullpen that has been automatic over the last month or so. 4 2/3 they pitched as well. I mean, since the trade deadline, when they gave up all of these relievers, Luke Weaver, you go down the list, Brooks Raley as well, Oscar Brazaban. I mean, impactful relievers that are no longer there with this Mets team, and they've called up guys from the minors that have come in and completely stepped up. And really looking at Kodai Senga, who got his 2nd save of the year in this game. That's a guy who's just looking for anything and everything to give a jolt to his major league career, because it's been all bad, especially this year, early on this year as a starter. Now he comes into the bullpen role as the closer, and he's been lights out over the last couple of games. So the Mets end up winning 4-1 on Friday. Then you go into Saturday's game, and the Mets get a tough and gritty win once again. How about the Mets coming back down 4-2 in the 6th? Carson Benge hits a home run, a solo shot in the 6th inning to make it 4-3. Francisco Alvarez, with no outs in the 9th, ends up hitting an RBI double to give the Mets a tie score, make it 4-4, but give the Mets 2nd and 3rd with no outs. And Francisco Lindor finally got the job done after A.J. Ewing struck out. The Mets end up walking it off with Lindor, an RBI single, his 10th career walk-off hit, and the Mets end up winning another game. They continue to roll. This one 5-4 the final, with Jeffrey Yan getting his first major league win. Then the Mets go into the series finale. Christian Scott on the mound on Sunday, and the Mets finish off the series sweep. They were trailing once again. The tough and gritty Mets, down 2-0 in the blink of an eye in the 3rd inning after Ortiz hit a solo shot to give the Nats a 2-0 lead. How about Jorge Polanco? Ends up getting a ribby, but had a big hit later on after he had the big hit early on late on in the day before on Saturday. Ends up hitting a huge single to get the rally going for the Mets. Then he hits a ribby ground out in this game. Luis Torrens, though, that was the story. He hits a 2-run bomb into center field off of Jake Irvin, and Irvin was so angry about that one. How in the world does it get out? That's what Louis does. He hits it into center field, or he hits it into right field. He goes oppo, but he goes to center field for this one. His 4th home run in the last 7 games. And it's 3-2 Mets. Then it's Jared Young with a ribby double, continuing on his hot streak. Then it's 4-2 Mets, and they would hold on once again. Kodai Senga getting his 3rd career save, and the Mets win it. A 4-3 score, and they sweep the Nationals 3-0 at Citi Field. Then you go into Monday's game with the San Diego Padres coming to town, a 3-game set out in Queens, and the Mets continue to roll. They've won their 4th in a row with a 2-1 win against San Diego. Nolan McLean on the mound, 6 innings, 6 hits, 1 earned with 4 walks and 3 Ks. The Mets jumped out to a 2-0 lead with Bo Bichette hitting an RBI single, then Luis Robert Jr. hitting a sac fly. Of course, Fernando Tatis Jr. hits a sac fly as well for the Padres in the 2nd inning. But this game was all about Carson Benge, because it was not 2-1 without the strength of the arm of Carson Benge. He just continues to excite Met fans, and the right fielder of the future, a lot of them are saying now. 99.9 miles per hour on the first throw. He gets Jake Cronenworth out at the plate in the first. And how about the next play? He ends up throwing a 103.9 mile per hour throw to gun down Manny Machado at the plate. He's the first Mets player, or the first player with 299 plus mile per hour outfield assists in an inning under StatCast that arrived in 2015. I mean, the Mets have a diamond in the rough out in right field. I mean, a lot of David Stearns' talk was Carson Bench is going to be something. But early on, it didn't look like that. Through the end of April, he was looking like he was struggling. He may not live up to the hype in the big leagues. I mean, this guy is unbelievable right now. And to have two monster throws like that at the plate, I mean, just ridiculous stuff from Carson Bench. And the Mets, again, have their right fielder for the future. And he's going to be a huge impact player. If you have that outfield with A.J. Ewing and Juan Soto, the Mets are set for the future with that three in the outfield. So the Mets end up winning the first game of the three-game set. Walker Buehler was on the mound, ended up getting the loss 7-6 on the year. Nolan McLean gets the win 9-8 on the year, and Daniel Duarte comes in with Kodai Senga pitching back-to-back days. Daniel Duarte comes in for the save, and he locks things down in the ninth, his second career save. So the Mets continue to roll right now, 4 in a row, and can it get to 5 in a row? Of course, this Mets team is not going to make it to the playoffs heading into September and October, but the positivity right now is just something to really rejoice about and look at towards next year and say, wow, they really got a team here that they can build around. They got a core that they can build around with these young guys, and even some guys in the rotation really stepping up. Another one of those guys in the rotation is Zach Thornton. He'll get the ball tonight. A 7-10 start out at Citi Field. The Mets continue to roll, and we'll see if they can do so again tonight with the lefty Robbie Ray getting the ball for San Diego. 10-7, 3.28 ERA on the year. He's been real solid. And Zach Thornton, 3-3, 2.78 ERA this season. Thornton gets the ball, both lefties on the mound. We'll see what happens. Make sure you tune in to that one later. But let's finish things off today in the world of football, as we did have some bad news for the New York Jets over the last couple of days. And Breece Hall, their running back, suffered a groin injury during Monday's practice, expected to miss 2 to 3 weeks, according to head coach Aaron Glenn. Probably will be back for week 1 against the Tennessee Titans, but this is something to watch for as the Jets head into another season under Aaron Glenn. Can the Jets get things going on offense with Geno Smith at quarterback? Because if it's anything like last year with Justin Fields with the ball in his hands, the Jets are in trouble. They're looking for some optimism. They're looking for just a new sense of life, this Jets franchise, with Geno Smith having the ball in this offense with the Jets and just having a quarterback that you think is solid enough to get this offense rolling. Garrett Wilson's back after a injury-plagued 2025. Breece Hall also had 1,000 rushing yards in 2025, 1,065, but we'll see how healthy he is. Not a great sign for the Jets that he's already dealing with some injuries, but the optimism is that he will be ready for week 1 against the Tennessee Titans, and Bobby Saleh's defense will be licking their lips if Breece Hall is not 100%. I think looking at this Jets team heading into the year, you got to have a little bit of optimism because, again, they have a quarterback that can actually hold the ball in his hands. The problem with Geno Smith is that he turns the ball over just a little bit too much, and that can get Jet fans a little unhappy. But, I mean, with a franchise like the Jets right now and a Jet fan myself, I think looking for a quarterback to actually throw the ball more than 5 yards is something that the Jets could really feel happy about heading into this upcoming season. But Breece Hall will be on the shelf for a couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks he's going to miss during the preseason. He looks like he could be ready to go for week 1, but not a great start to training camp and to preseason for the New York Jets, as Breece Hall out a couple of weeks with a groin injury during Monday's practice. But that will do it for episode 178 of the MudWatch Sports Podcast. Please subscribe below. I've been Zach Malum, and thanks for watching, and talk to you all on Thursday.